Charles Leclerc described his third-place finish at the 2025 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as a dream result. On the surface, it was just another podium for a top driver at a team like Ferrari. But beneath the surface, it was the product of something much more layered. Something deeply connected to how Ferrari is evolving, how Leclerc is adapting, and how the smallest margins in F1 can transform a weekend. So, how did Leclerc manage to get on the podium despite a car that, by his own admission, isn't behaving the way he wants? And what does this tell us about Ferrari's direction in 2025? Let's break it down, because there's a lot more to this story than just race pace. From the very first stint of the race, Leclerc's strategy hinted that Ferrari were taking a calculated gamble by running longer than the drivers around him, most notably George Russell in the Mercedes. Leclerc bought himself clean air. And in modern Formula One, clean air is everything. We often hear drivers complain about dirty air affecting tire temperatures, braking stability, and even visibility. But Jeddah's high-speed layout magnifies that effect. Once Russell peeled off into the pits, Leclerc finally had space to unleash the full potential of his car, and the effect was immediate. Suddenly, the SF25 came to life. The balance issues he'd been wrestling with in traffic seemed to vanish. The car felt more predictable, the tires lasted longer, and his lap times dropped into a consistent and competitive rhythm. He even mentioned it post-race in that candid cool-down room chat with Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri. Clean air is worth so much here. That extra 9 laps he managed to squeeze out of the first stint allowed him to pit with fresher tires and return to the track with enough grip to not just fend off Russell, but overtake him on merit. That's how you turn a difficult qualifying into a podium drive. But while clean air and tire management were key contributors, they weren't the full story. The bigger question is why the car needed clean air in the first place. And that's where things get really interesting. Despite having a car that showed real pace in the race, Ferrari was not in the fight for pole in Jeddah. They weren't even close. According to team principal Frederic Vasseur, Ferrari lost a whopping 0.35 seconds just in the first 2 corners of Leclerc's qualifying lap. That's huge, especially in a circuit like Jeddah, where the gaps between cars are usually razor thin. GPS data back this up. Leclerc's Ferrari was bleeding time in turns 1 and 2, a tight third gear sequence taken at around 59 miles per hour. These corners aren't just about raw engine power or aerodynamic load. They're about mechanical grip and balance, especially at the very beginning of a lap. Now, typically, when you see a time loss like this in the first few corners, you suspect under-temperature tires. But that wasn't the case here. The C5 compound used in Jeddah is the softest in Pirelli's range, and warm-up wasn't an issue for any team. So, if tire warm-up wasn't the problem, what was? The answer lies in the setup Ferrari are currently running, especially Leclerc's personal tweaks. What's become clear over the opening rounds of the season is that Leclerc has taken Ferrari's current limitations and tried to bend them to his will. But doing so has come at a cost. He's opted for an extreme setup combination, something he admits himself is far from conventional. It gives the car certain strengths, but those strengths are deeply situational. In low-speed corners like turns 1 and 2, the car suffers from heavy understeer. Leclerc struggles to rotate the car and has to delay applying the throttle, costing him precious tenths. But in other corners, especially the fast aero-heavy ones, that same setup becomes a weapon. It tames the natural instability of the car and gives Leclerc a level of predictability that he can work with. He's not just managing the car's balance through hardware. He's manipulating it dynamically, using the brake, throttle, and steering all at once in a way that few drivers can replicate. At turn 4, for instance, he uses a technique where he overlaps braking with gentle throttle application. This subtle trick balances the car's weight transfer and keeps the rear end planted, something that helps tremendously in an aero-loaded turn. Then, at turn 27, the final corner of the lap, Leclerc brakes incredibly progressively, unlike drivers like Verstappen or Norris who are much more aggressive on entry. This slow, deliberate braking phase allows him to carry momentum in a car that otherwise would want to snap loose. It's these small driving techniques, layered on top of a customized setup, that make the SF25 manageable in certain parts of the track, but still inconsistent in others. And turn 15 is the outlier. It's just fast enough that mechanical tricks can't cover for the car's lack of downforce. Ferrari introduced a new floor in Bahrain, and it has helped, just not enough. What they've effectively done is expand the car's balance window. In simple terms, they've made the car a bit easier to set up from track to track. But the problem is that this window is still too narrow. Once you're outside of it, the car becomes unpredictable, either understeering badly or snapping on throttle. That's why Leclerc's setup is so extreme. He's trying to stay inside that narrow, sweet spot, but means accepting major compromises in some corners just to survive in others. Ferrari knows this. The team isn't pretending the SF25 is the finished article. Vasseur has been upfront about the car's limitations, and he's pointed to two areas that need urgent attention: front-end grip and aerodynamic consistency. And the plan to fix it? Upgrades. A new package is expected to arrive by the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola. That will be the first real opportunity for Ferrari to show whether they can fix the inconsistencies that are plaguing their 2025 campaign. This isn't just about a single race. Leclerc's drive in Jeddah was a perfect case study of the challenges Ferrari is facing as they try to claw their way back to the front of the grid. It's also a reminder of how much a driver can make a difference, even when the car isn't quite right. Because what Leclerc is doing right now isn't normal. He's not just driving a fast car and hoping for the best. He's engineering the result through technique, intelligence, and adaptation. And while podiums like this one might feel like small victories compared to Red Bull's continued dominance, they're incredibly important for morale, both inside the garage and in the grandstands. Fans want to see a fight. They want to see Ferrari matter again. And what Leclerc delivered in Jeddah is exactly that, a signal that Ferrari aren't giving up. They're finding ways to compete even when they're not the fastest. And when the upgrades arrive, they'll be building from a base that has already proven it can deliver under pressure. In a season that's still young, but already showing signs of Red Bull's continued advantage, stories like Leclerc's podium in Jeddah are crucial to keeping the grid interesting. They're not just about results, they're about perseverance, adaptation, and that age-old Ferrari resilience. What Leclerc managed to do on the streets of Jeddah was more than just earn a trophy. He showcased what makes him one of the best in the business, and why Ferrari continue to build around him. He took a car with flaws, drove it at the absolute limit, and turned a likely 4th or 5th place finish into a well-deserved podium. And for us, the fans, it was a reminder that in Formula One, the story is never as simple as it seems on paper. That's what makes this sport so addictive. Those tiny margins, those creative solutions, and the way one brilliant drive can change everything. As we head toward Imola, all eyes will be on what Ferrari can deliver next. Will the upgrades solve the issues? Will Leclerc finally get a car that doesn't fight him at every corner? And can they bring the fight to Red Bull, McLaren, or even Mercedes? One thing is clear. If they do, it'll be thanks to weekends like this, where they learned, adapted, and refused to settle. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more content that unpacks the real stories in Formula One, the human side, the technical side, and everything in between, make sure to subscribe. Here on McLaren Faithful, we don't just report F1 news, we uncover what really matters. Hello McLaren Faithfuls. Stand a chance of winning $1,000 by hitting that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe so you never miss any McLaren and F1 updates with relaxing ASMR elements. McLaren Faithful's YouTube channel is now covered in English and multiple languages. Your support is what keeps this incredible community growing stronger every day. It costs you nothing to like and subscribe, but it helps the channel tremendously. Let's continue the conversation and share our passion for McLaren and F1 together. As a YouTube member, you can also discover my journey as a passionate creator navigating life with challenging disabilities. Despite the obstacles, I'm determined to follow my dreams and share my love for McLaren and F1 with the world. By becoming a YouTube member, you'll not only be supporting my dream, but you'll also gain access to exclusive content, including untold stories of legendary F1 drivers and much more. Your support can truly make a difference in my life, helping me continue to do what I love. Join McLaren Faithful's membership below and enjoy.